Let's do this. It is Nuke the Props. Today I got a really sharp kid coming on from our friends at 4 for 4. Jake Lotenberg is going to give us some NFL props. I am very excited to be doing today's show. What I have for you is a prop that Keg came up with. And since we were free earlier in the week, I'm just going to throw it out there for everybody that doesn't know it. I've got one that I know Iowa is on that I kind of like myself. Then I got to play for Monday Night Football. What's up, everybody? Drop a play in the chat if you got it. What's up, Gary? Good to see you in the chat right now. I want to remind everybody about a few things going on. First of all, we're open for business. We are open for business again. For those of you that have been begging us to get in as members, now is the time to do it. Okay, friends? So all you got to do is go to nukethehouse.com, subscribe. You get all of our premium stuff. You get our premium shows. And by the way, all our NFL shows are behind the paywall until next Thursday night. You guys get so many free shows for so long, and we just can't do it anymore. So if you want all of our plays, if you want the pre-flop plays, you want the live shows on Sunday, the live betting shows, you want it on Monday Night Football too, this is just what we got to do. We're going to make it all premium. So again, hop in there, guys. $59.99 a month. Sign up for the year, $599.99. That sounds pretty good too. What up, Card Addict? I see you're in there. Again, throw your favorite bets in here this week. So I've got 3 player props. And then for the end of the show, I got to remember to do this. I watch all the Broncos games. I'm out here, 40 minutes from the stadium. And I got one I really like this week. So we'll see if that works out. Last week, got our asses handed to us 0-2. Jameson Williams really didn't do anything. Then he gets suspended on top of it. So that's one that fell. I don't even remember the other one. But on the year, we're about we're treading water, maybe a little bit more than that. And our guests are absolutely crushing it. So again, looking forward to Jake hopping on in just a couple of minutes. Let's get into it, though. Let's nuke the props. Okay. Now, this is one that Keg posted earlier in the week, and I absolutely love it. Bucky Irving probably going to play at less than 100%. We do like Sean Tucker. I don't know how much we like Sean Tucker anymore out of the backfield, but let's get into this. His receiving yards, Rashad White receiving yards, 21.5. You can ladder that to 40, 50, 60, whatever you want to ladder it to. But this is from the Bucs-Falcons game. We know what happened with the Buccaneers over the last week. Godwin's out for the year. Evans messed up his hamstring. Things are not going very well for them. Now, you can target Cade Otton too, because Otton had 10 targets, 8 catches, and hit 100 yards last week. I don't know if he hits 100 yards this week, but he's definitely going to be a massive story in the passing game. But a guy that's also going to be a massive story in the passing game has to be Rashad White. And I don't think that he gets enough credit as a pass catcher. Running back, mediocre at best. Pass catching back, excellent. There has been talk to throw him in the slot. I don't think they're going to do that, but I think they're going to go to him. McMillan, Trey Palmer, Sterling Shepard, none of these guys really scare you. So it's going to be ancillary pieces or other players that get involved besides for these wide receivers here. So I think that these running backs, even Irving, if he's in there, but more White than anything else, very, very, very involved in the passing game. He's coming off a 6-catch, 71-yard performance. Why did that happen? In all likelihood, because Godwin and Evans were gone. Godwin actually, I take that back. Godwin was toward the end of the game, but they were looking for options. Once Evans went out of the game, Otton and White were the 2 beneficiaries right away there. He leads the backfield in yards, targets, and receptions. His projection is 25.5 yards. I absolutely love it. Tyler, I think that Irving might play. I saw that he was out there practicing today. So I think the news came down that's a little bit different than it was earlier. I'll tell you this much. If he doesn't play in this game, then the Sean Tucker bet is looking absolutely spectacular. Here, Bucky Irving's moving around at the beginning of practice. Then they said we should know more about him in a day or so. So he's going to play barring a setback. So I think that Bucky Irving's going to be in there, Tyler. I really do. So I think he's going to play, no doubt about it. And then finally, White's receiving yards, we got in at 19.5. I don't think 21.5 is a bad number. Again, you can ladder 30, 25, 30, 40 yards if you want to. If you want to tail Keg on this, you can go all the way up to like 60, 70 yards. but his projection around the industry is 25.5. That's a nice baseline to figure out exactly where a player stands in the industry. You don't bet props on that, but hey, for instance, last night, Aaron Jones, his projection was 10 yards lower than his number was at the sports books, and he ends up going under. And that's one isolated incident, but it happens more than you would think. So again, the projection's 25.5 yards. We got in at 19.5. I think you can get in at 21.5, and you can feel just fine about that. Rashad White over 19.5. Okay, the next one, and you're going to have to do some line shopping on this because Caleb Williams, his passing number opened at, I want to say 225.5 was where Iowa got it. And I just found out that Iowa had gotten on this, so I feel really good about this as well. But Caleb Williams over 227.5. So Williams is going back home to play in DC. That's where he's from. The Commanders are much worse against the run than they are against the pass. But even if Daniels is not in this game, and it is Marcus Mariota, I look for points to be put up in this game. His projection is 240, so this is well below the industry projections. The line's been all over the place. So it opened at 225.5. It went as high as 231.5, and now it's settled back in at 229.5 around the industry, although you can get that 227.5 at FanDuel. 520 yards, 6 touchdowns passing in his last 2 games. And I love his pass catchers, an array of pass catchers. Keenan Allen, since he's been in there, we've seen Williams use him a little bit. Nice to have a veteran in the mix. DJ Moore is a stud. We know that. Roma Dunze has looked pretty good this season. And don't forget about Swift out of the backfield and Cole Kmet, who a guy the Nuke the House team is pretty high on as well. So I'll go with Caleb Williams here over 227.5. And I still got one more bet to give you for Monday Night Football, and I'll throw a same-game parlay out there. I know it's a prop show, but we got our guest here. I'm looking forward to bringing on Jake Lottenberg. It's Lottenberg, right? Lot or Lote?
Yes, sir. Happy to be here.
Lot. Yeah. What's going on, pal? You're with 4 for 4, one of my favorite places I've ever worked. Connor Allen, one of the sharpest guys in the business, and he said, hit up Jake, so I'm hitting you up, man. How are you today?
Good. How are you? Connor's the best boss I could ever ask for.
Yeah, he's a great boss. So let's get into these props here. I threw out the Rashad White receiving yards, and if you don't like these bets, I would love for you to make a counterpoint. I say 100% go for it. And then Caleb Williams over 227.5 in the passing game. Those are the two, and we're all over Tampa Bay pass catchers this week with Evans and Godwin out. It's kind of, you bet a lot of NBA props too. It's like the next man up. And sometimes the books have a tough time figuring out exactly where to place these guys. But talk to me here. Jake, give me your number one bet here in the NFL player props market.
All right. So my number one bet this week I got for you is I got Tyler Conklin. I took it at 28.5 receiving yards. And I think this might creep up a little bit because of Lazard now doubtful. But I still really like it because Conklin, the last 2 weeks, he has 7 catches, but for only 17 yards. His ADOT is, I'm pretty sure on the season, it's like 5 yards. 2 weeks ago, his ADOT was -1.5. And last week, it was 0.3. So this guy's not running anywhere downfield. He's not being targeted. And you got Devontae Adams now in town, soaking up some targets. He's always checking it down the Breece Hall. And they can blow these guys out.
All right. So Conklin over 28.5, right? You know, under 28.5. Yeah, he gets used,
yes,
but
sir.
The problem is he's just not, he's not a guy that's going to bust a whole bunch of a big yard. So Conklin under 28.5 yards is your first one. All right, Jake, throw out your second bet. You got 3 of them for us today. Can you throw us 3?
I got 3 for you. Yeah.
Let's go.
This next one, you said you were all over the Tampa pass catchers.
Yes.
I am taking the under on this guy. I'm going Trey Palmer under 3.5 receptions.
All right, we are not on any of the wide receivers though. We're not on the wide receivers. We're on Otten. We're on White. We might be on somebody else, but we are not on any of the 3 wide receivers. Okay. So you like who? Yeah. Palmer?
I took Palmer under because the OC this week, they're asking him who's going to step in where, and he basically said he sees Trey Palmer fitting more into the Mike Evans type role, like the field stretcher and throwing balls deep to him. I mean, come on, Trey Palmer. I mean, he's no Mike Evans. So throwing these deep passes, the really low percentage throws. I mean, I don't know. He's gonna have a high ADOT, but I don't think he's gonna end up coming down with most of these balls. And I don't think they're gonna have any success really offensively without Goddard and Evans. I think it's a spot where they could just put up a real dud.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to stop throwing, though. That's the identity of this team. So, again, Kate Otten kind of turned into the wide receiver one last week. You've got Rashad White who catches passes out of the backfield. I think we like Tucker, but I don't know if Tucker's getting squeezed out if Bucky Irving's going to play. So that's going to be kind of tough. But I'm with you on the pass catchers, wide receivers. I mean, this is just a mess. And good luck guessing, too, because they're talking up Jalen McMillan. McMillan really wasn't that featured last week. Palmer's been here for about a year and a half now. We haven't seen much out of Trey Palmer. And then there's Sterling Shepard. He's like the guys that are with Nuke the House. Some of these guys just love Sterling Shepard. But again, you're throwing darts there. We know where the concentrated targets are going to be, and it's going to be to the tight end Otten, and it's going to be the pass catching backs. Hopefully White lines up in the slot. I don't see it happening, but it would be nice to see that. But you're talking about news and notes here, and I want to take a little turn, a little diversion. Because last night, Puka Nacua, all the reports this guy he's gonna be on limited snaps. And he actually was on limited snaps. He usually plays 85 plus. He was down in the 60s last night, right? So we're doing a show here, and my co-host, JC Zargo, really sharp better. He's like, dude, what is that number at? And I said 28.5. He goes, if you don't hit that, you're an idiot. So we hit the 28.5. We went up to the 50. We held our breath. And by the end of the first quarter, he had just blown through all those props. Now, there are people that you can trust in the business. There are people that you can't. I think Tom Pelissero is a guy that you can trust, but he came out and he'd be unlimited snaps. We just didn't know that it was only going to be 20-something%. I think we got a little bit lucky last night, but how much do you use the news and notes to formulate which players you're going to end up throwing props on?
Yeah, I mean, early in the week, especially, like, that's basically, like, the only thing I can really go off of because, like, I got to really know who's in and who's out. And especially last night, I was going to bring that up to you. DraftKings last night, they were still offering Tutu Atwell under 9.5 fantasy points after Puka was basically known he was going to play. So I hit those pretty hard. And then I think I was in the car. I was listening to the game on the radio, and I heard instantly, I was like, oh, Puka Nacua is targeted on the first play. He couldn't bring it in, though. I was like, okay, if they're going to him on the first play, this guy's ready to play. And I just started live betting him, and he flew over everything.
Yeah, he absolutely crushed. What about you mentioned you bet fantasy points. Is that something you do a lot over at DK?
Yeah. Those come out usually like late Friday or early Saturday. I mean, they posted some really bad stuff on there. I think that market's super beatable.
So what about it is beatable, though? Because, these are the guys that run the DFS shop. This has got to be PPR too, but I think it's kind of fun betting fantasy points. It is PPR. Yeah. So you see it drop. Like, where is the inefficiency in that market, Jake?
I think they tend to just like really inflate the lines because I'm not sure why. It's just like a guy like Tutu Atwell. I mean, even when he's just like himself in the lineup without Puka or Kupp, I mean, it's super hard for him to even go over that without scoring a touchdown. I mean, 9.5 fantasy points in PPR. He needs to catch 5 or 6 balls for 50 yards, which is, I mean, that's pretty steep.
You got killed if you bet DeMarcus Robinson last night, though, because he scored 2 touchdowns and he got lucky. But I'll look into those. I haven't been big into the fantasy points thing. I've kind of strayed away from the fantasy world and probably cut my DFS investment about 75%. It's 75% less of what it used to be. I've just switched all over to sports betting at this point. But the fantasy points could be interesting, and look for them tonight and early tomorrow to drop. So that's something I'm going to check out. I also noticed you're on a couple of unders. I'm an under guy. Unfortunately, I've been giving out a lot of overs in the props market just because the way we bet here is a lot of ladders, and you're not going to ladder a guy down. Only ladder a guy up. I do like side. I do like totals to the under, game totals to the under, and I'll have something on that a little bit later on. But are you mostly an under better?
I think that's where I find like the biggest edge for me. But I mean, I'll bet either side. I mean, I think I usually like unders more because I feel like there's a lot that can like happen in your favor. Like they could get hurt. their role could diminish, just stuff like that.
All right. Last thing for you. We got one more prop bet that I want to hear from you, Jake. Let's go
All
for
right.
it. Oh, before you do that, hold on. We just got a question from our boy Card Addict here. Where are the fantasy points located on DK? Like, where do you find them? Just in the games?
It should be on the home screen once you go to NFL, and if you scroll over after you're on that tab, it should say player specials,
Okay.
and it's under there. I have a few people that I know who bet in New Jersey and I think New York. I don't think you can bet those if you're in those locations, but I don't know the other places.
I got to
where you
get my
can
guy
again.
Iowa on these, man. The fantasy points just seems kind of a fun way to attack these things too. So it'll be under all the game specials, and they'll put them up for player specials. There you go. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. I mean, I'm not going to bet Kyler Murray to have a pass or rush touchdown in the first quarter at plus 150, but they got a whole bunch of other ones. How about the Cookie Monster, Keon Coleman, to have a 50+ yard reception, 550? I'm going to start running down these. These are kind of fun because usually what we do is bet the FanDuel game specials, the player specials, but I'm going to end up checking out DraftKings a little bit more. All right, Jake, last one here for you. 3 of 3, last player prop in the NFL.
All right, and the last one, we got another under.
Yeah, all right.
Another tight end too. We got Jonnu Smith under 30.5 receiving yards. I think this is at 27.5 and 28.5 now. I still like it there. Jonnu Smith, he's had some monster games lately with these backup quarterbacks, but he still hasn't played 50% of the offensive snaps in a single game this season. And I think this is a little inflated because the last 2 weeks, he's led the team in targets. And, I mean, with Tua back, I mean, you got to imagine they're going to funnel all the targets back to Tyreek, Waddle, and the chain. So, and also the Cardinals, they play at like a slug's pace. I have right here, they're 27th in pass rate over expectation. So, I mean, they're just going to kill the game and just less plays in the game, and their offense will be back to how it used to be. I just don't see him being a big part of it.
All right. And again, the one game that Tua played, start to finish, was week 1. I don't think they're getting blown out this week, but they were getting blown out by Buffalo. He had 6 catches on 7 targets for 53 yards, but that was in a massive negative game script. So yeah. I'm with you, man. How badly is he just, maybe we should be laddering Tyreek Hill this week out of just the narrative, but my goodness, that's what you got to look at, right? The problem is like his brains could be leaking out of his ear after one snap, but Tyreek Hill, man, and I haven't really even dug into Tyreek Hill, but he's at 82.5 to the over. I wonder what kind of price we can get on his 100+ too. Where are you sitting on Tyreek?
Tyreek, I would definitely lean over. And you said you're not that big in the DFS anymore, but they made a pretty big mistake.
7K on DK.
Huh?
7K on DK.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He looks really cheap this week. Well, instead of playing like 1,000 lineups, I play like 5 lineups now. So I'm still invested in the streets, just not as much monetarily. So yeah, they made a massive mistake with him on DraftKings.
Yeah, he shouldn't be 7K. No way.
No, he'll be the chalk, and he should be. You got to eat the chalk in that instance. Hey, Jake, tell everybody what you're doing. Great spot today. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna have you back on the show if you accept. But what are you? Where can they find your work on X, websites, everything else? Great spot today.
Follow me on X at Jake Lottenberg 2, and you can see all my bets and everyone else in 4for4 over at 4for4.com.
Wonderful. Jake, thanks so much for the time, pal. Great spot.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it. Take care. Oh, man, did he just call me sir? I mean, I'm probably 30 years older than the guy, but come on, Lottenberg. I know you're back there backstage right now. You can't call me sir, even if you're joking about it. All right, so Jonnu under 30.5, Conklin under 28.5. I guess Jonnu, he said, was 27.5 now. And then Trey Palmer under for him. My first 2 bets that I gave out at the top of the show, if you're just joining me, is going to be a Nuke play with Keg. And this was back during the week, earlier in the week when we were doing it for free, so I don't mind giving it out. Rashad White, we had him at over 19.5 receiving yards. I think it's fine at 21.5. You can ladder him to 40. You can ladder him to 50, 60, whatever you want to ladder him to. But Keg's laddering him this week. I got Caleb Williams over 227.5. Made me very, very comfortable that Iowa's already on him at 225.5. I hit him up. I said, listen, I'm going to recommend Caleb Williams. And he's like, yeah, I already hit it at 225.5. The 2 yards I'm not going to worry about. DC kid going back home. Now, I got 2 more bets that I want to discuss. One is for Monday Night Football. Giants Steelers. You're going Giants Steelers. What are you doing, man? What are you doing, Giants Steelers? Devin Singletary under 34 and a half rushing yards. And you look at it on the surface, you go, man, what? That's not a lot of rushing yards for him to get. But I think there's a lot working against him. First of all, I don't think he's entirely healthy. Second of all, the Steelers have the best explosive run rate against. Like, guys just don't bust big runs against the Steelers. You can catch passes as a back against the Steelers, but they don't bust big runs. So that's huge. The low explosive run rate, third fewest rushing yards per game, ninth lowest yards after contact. I mean, it's just really, really tough to get going against that Steelers rushing defense. So we also saw Tyrone Tracy pick up 75% of the snaps in the first half. Singletary didn't even play in the first four drives. So first three drives, he came in the fourth drive. I wonder if it's Tracy time yet. The season's fallen apart for the Giants. It's an impossible matchup. Breece Hall even had 38 yards last week. Madison went 14 for 33. I don't think Singletary gets to that 34 and a half. So that's my look there. And the last one I want to give out is not a prop bet. This is going to be just because I watch a ton of Denver Broncos. So they've got the Carolina Panthers coming to town this week. The Panthers, couple things going on with them. Bryce Young is going to start. Deontay Johnson, he's going to sit. They're going to end up trading him. Legetta's out. They're not getting Thielen back. This Panthers team is a train wreck offensively. On the other side, you got a Denver team with an elite defense. They'll have Patrick Surtain. They can run the football. We're already on Javonte Williams over here. So I'm going to attack this from it's more of a numbers manipulation thing than an actual, it's more of an odds manipulation thing than a numbers thing. So what I'm going to do is go with the under 42 and a half. Now this thing was 42 and a half to the under early on in the week, dropped to 40 and a half, 41. So I'm going to put it back up to the pre-flop number and take the Broncos minus 2.5. We're getting plus money there at plus 118. So I really love that one. Under 42 and a half, Broncos minus 2.5, same game parlay. We're going to go Singletary under rushing yards. We're going to go Caleb Williams over passing yards. And then we're going to go with Rashad White over receiving yards. Thank you so much for everybody watching the show today. Good to see Ramon in the chat. Card Addicts here. You got Fathead on Tucker. Regardless, he's the most healthy. I think I don't feel great about the Tucker right now. I'll just say that. One thing about Tucker is that's one catch. He could pick up 35 yards. Extremely, extremely explosive player. Gary, thanks for stopping by. Everybody, thanks for stopping by. Hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Nuke the House. And most importantly, we are open for business. NukeTheHouse.com. Subscribe. Now, you can do it for 1 week at $19.99. I don't recommend that. We offer it, but, I mean, we could have one bad week and then go on a 3-week run, and then all of a sudden you miss the 3-week run. Monthly, $59.99, and then yearly, $599.99. We've got Keg up over 100 units this year. We got Foxy up over 100 units this year. I think Coop is right there. Maddie in baseball with the World Series starting up, over 30 units this year. And if I forgot anyone, I'm sorry, because our team is just so deep and so loaded. NukeTheHouse.com. Thanks for watching the show today. Appreciate you checking out Nuke the Props. And guess what we're going to do this weekend? We're going to go nuke the house.